Your immune system is designed to protect you. It identifies threats, it fights infections, it helps defend you from things that could harm you. So why would that same immune system suddenly start attacking your own body? Why would it attack your joints, your thyroid, your skin, your digestive system, or even your brain and nervous system? That is essentially what happens with autoimmune disease. Your immune system loses some of its ability to distinguish between what needs to be attacked and what needs to be protected. But here is the question we don't ask nearly enough. Why does that happen? And more importantly, is there anything you can actually do about it? The answer is more complicated than blaming one food, one stressful event, one infection, or simply saying it's genetic, because your genes are only part of the story. And understanding that could completely change the way you think about your health. And if you like understanding what your body is trying to tell you, subscribe to Listen to the Signs. Because the more you understand your body, the better equipped you are to take care of it. There are more than 80 recognized autoimmune diseases: multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus type 1 diabetes, Hashimoto's disease, celiac disease, psoriasis, and many others. They affect different parts of the body, but they share something fundamental. The immune system begins reacting against the body's own cells, tissues, or proteins. And for a long time, when people developed conditions like these, the explanation often seemed frustratingly simple. You have the genes for it. But having a genetic susceptibility does not mean you are guaranteed to develop the disease. Think about that for a moment. Two people can have similar genetic risk, and only one develops the condition. Two identical twins can share virtually the same DNA, and yet one may develop an autoimmune disease while the other does not. So clearly, DNA isn't the entire story. And this is where something called epigenetics becomes incredibly interesting. Your DNA contains the genetic instructions you were born with. You can't simply replace those instructions. But those genes do not operate in a vacuum. Your cells constantly respond to signals from the environment around them. And some of those signals can influence how genes are regulated and expressed without changing the actual DNA sequence. That is part of what we call epigenetics. In simple terms, you may not be able to change the genetic cards you were dealt. But those cards aren't the only thing determining how the game unfolds. Your biology is interacting with your environment every single day. What you eat, how you sleep, how much you move, whether you smoke, the nutrients available to your body, infections you've encountered, environmental exposures, and even the biological effects of prolonged stress. All of these become part of the environment in which your body is trying to function. And no, this does not mean that someone caused their autoimmune disease by eating the wrong breakfast or going through a stressful year. Autoimmune disease is complex. There is rarely one single cause. Some factors are completely outside your control, but others aren't. And that's where this conversation becomes empowering. Because you may not control every variable affecting your health, but you can influence many of them. And when you understand that, the question changes. Instead of only asking, why is my body doing this to me? You can also begin asking, what kind of environment am I giving my body every single day? Because your immune system doesn't exist separately from the rest of you. It is living through every night of poor sleep, every meal, every cigarette, every infection, every period of recovery, every prolonged period of stress, every nutrient your body receives and every nutrient it doesn't. Your body is constantly adapting to the conditions you give it. And sometimes the signs that something isn't working appear long before we finally stop and listen. So next, we're going to look at some of the biggest everyday factors that can influence the environment inside your body and which ones you can actually start changing. Let's start with one of the most basic things your body needs: Sleep. Sleep isn't simply the time when you're unconscious. It's an active period of repair, regulation, and recovery, and your immune system is deeply connected to your sleep. When you consistently don't get enough or your sleep is constantly interrupted, you're changing the environment in which your immune system has to function. One terrible night isn't going to give you an autoimmune disease, but if poor sleep has become your normal, it's worth paying attention to. Ask yourself, do I actually wake up feeling rested? Or have I become so accustomed to being exhausted that I think it's normal? Then look at what you're eating. Not one perfect food, not one miracle supplement, your overall pattern. Because your immune system requires nutrients to function properly. Protein, essential fats, vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants, and other compounds found in whole plant foods. And yet many people are asking their bodies to function optimally while feeding them predominantly ultra-processed foods. Then we wonder why the body struggles. Again, this isn't about blaming yourself for getting sick. It's about looking honestly at the environment you're creating, and your gut is part of that environment. Your digestive system is home to trillions of microorganisms, collectively known as your gut microbiome. And researchers are increasingly studying the relationship between the microbiome and immune regulation. That makes sense when you consider how much interaction occurs between your digestive system and your immune system. What you eat helps shape that microbial environment. Fiber-rich foods such as vegetables, fruit, beans, lentils, whole grains, nuts, and seeds help support a diverse gut ecosystem. And then there's something incredibly simple that gets overlooked all the time. Movement. Your body was designed to move. That doesn't mean you need to spend 2 hours in a gym every day. Walk, stretch, lift something, take the stairs, dance in your kitchen, go outside, find something you'll actually continue doing. Regular physical activity supports cardiovascular health, metabolic health, brain health, sleep, and overall immune function. And then we get to something people often underestimate: stress. Your stress response is incredibly useful. If you're in danger, you want your body to react. Your heart rate increases, energy becomes available, your attention sharpens, your body prepares you to respond. That's survival. The problem is when your body rarely gets the message that the danger is over. Financial stress, relationship conflict, work you absolutely hate, constant worry, caring for someone without ever recovering yourself, being connected to your phone from the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep, watching frightening or infuriating content for hours every day. Your body doesn't experience these things exactly like it experiences a physical threat, but psychological stress still creates real biological responses. And when stress becomes chronic, those responses can affect multiple systems throughout the body, including the immune system. Which brings me to something that isn't talked about nearly enough in conversations about physical health. What are you feeding your mind? Think about your average day. How much of what enters your brain makes you angry, afraid, hopeless, overwhelmed? How often are you scrolling through disasters and bad news? This doesn't mean you should ignore what's happening in the world. It means recognizing that your nervous system is part of your body too. Your mental environment matters, and so does the life you're actually living. Do you have people you feel connected to? Do you laugh? Do you spend time outside? Do you have something that gives you a sense of purpose? Is there anything in your week that you genuinely look forward to? Or are you simply surviving one day so you can wake up and survive the next one? Purpose isn't a treatment for autoimmune disease. Neither is happiness. They interact. Poor sleep can make stress harder to manage. Stress can make sleep more difficult. Exhaustion can make you less likely to exercise. being exhausted and stressed can change the foods you reach for. And suddenly, what looked like a collection of tiny decisions has become the environment your body experiences every single day. This is why looking for one single culprit can sometimes send us in the wrong direction. Maybe the better question isn't, what's the one thing I need to eliminate? Maybe it's, what is the total load I'm asking my body to carry? Because once you start looking at the whole picture, you can begin identifying which parts of that load are actually within your control. So now take a look at your own life, not with judgment, with curiosity. If your body could give you a report card on the environment you've been giving it, what would that report card say? Start with sleep. Are you consistently giving your body enough time to recover? Or are you running on caffeine, stress, and 5 or 6 hours of sleep, and expecting your body to somehow keep compensating? Look at your food, not what you ate at a birthday party last weekend. What do you eat most of the time? Are you giving your body whole foods and enough variety to actually meet its needs? Or are most of your calories coming from foods that were manufactured in a factory? Look at movement. How many hours of your day are spent sitting? When was the last time you challenged your muscles, raised your heart rate, went for a long walk, stretched, moved simply because it felt good? Then look at stress. And this one requires honesty. What in your life is draining you right now? A relationship, your job, money, family conflict, loneliness, something you're constantly worried about, something you've been tolerating for years because changing it feels too difficult. You may not be able to eliminate every source of stress. Most of us can't. But sometimes we have far more control than we realize. Then look at what you're consuming mentally. If the first thing you do every morning is pick up your phone and immediately fill your brain with bad news and other people's problems, try something different. Give yourself 30 minutes before you invite the entire world into your nervous system. Go outside, connect with yourself, drink some water, stretch, walk, breathe, play with your dog and or cat, listen to music. Give your body a chance to wake up before you start asking it to process everything happening on the planet. And then ask yourself one of the most important questions in this entire video. Do I actually enjoy my life? Not every minute. That's impossible. But overall, do you have something you're excited about? People you love? Something meaningful you're working toward? Moments when you genuinely feel alive? Because taking care of your health isn't only about avoiding disease, it's about creating a life you actually want to be healthy enough to live. And here's the part I really want you to remember. You cannot control everything. You cannot choose the DNA you were born with. You cannot prevent every infection. You cannot eliminate every environmental exposure. You cannot guarantee that you will never develop an autoimmune disease or any other disease. And making healthy choices does not mean you are guaranteed a healthy outcome, but that doesn't make those choices meaningless. Quite the opposite, because there are still so many variables you can influence, and you can start listening when your body whispers instead of waiting until it has to scream. Because your genes are not operating in isolation. Your immune system is not operating in isolation. Your brain is not operating in isolation. Your gut is not operating in isolation. You are one interconnected human being, and every day you're creating an environment in which that human being has to function. You don't need to change everything tomorrow. In fact, please don't. Pick one thing. Maybe tonight you go to bed an hour earlier. Maybe tomorrow you take a 30-minute walk. Maybe you add more whole plant foods to your meals. Maybe you stop checking the news first thing in the morning. Maybe you finally deal with something in your life that has been draining you for far too long. Choose one thing that is actually within your control and do it consistently. Then build from there, because you may not be able to control every variable, but you can certainly put more chances on your side. And if this video made you look at your health differently, subscribe to listen to the signs, because that's exactly what we do here. We pay attention to the signals your body is giving you. We try to understand what they might mean. And most importantly, we focus on what you can actually do about them. Your body is communicating with you every single day. The question is, are you listening?